The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Tucson, Arizona, on your new Pierce Fire apparatus, job number 34462. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Let's start just under the front bumper, where you'll find 2 open-ended tow hooks on the passenger and driver side. Just outside of that location, you'll find dual air horns. Moving up to the face of the bumper, you'll find 3 locations for PA speaker, siren, and mechanical siren. Moving to the center, you'll find your unit identifier 7. Moving up onto the bumper extension area, you'll find 2 latches and 2 grab handles for lifting your cover to the open position. Let's move now to the body. Starting on the outer edge of the body, you'll find your turn indicator marker light. Just inside of that location, you'll find your headlight structure housing the low and high beam headlights. The high beam will be on the inside location. Moving up from that, you'll find 2 forward-facing emergency warning lights on the passenger and driver side. Directly behind the Pierce logo is where you'll find the release mechanism for your hood. As we move up onto the hood, you'll find your unit identifier Tucson 7, and then also 3 windshield wipers across your seamless one-piece windshield. As we move to the outer edge, you'll find your mirror housing a flat and convex mirror. Moving upward above the brow area, you'll find your running lights, also side-facing at an angle scene lights, and further up above on the roof, you'll find emergency warning lights, and then a go light on the passenger and driver side. Directly over the driver's area, you'll find your opticom. Let's move from this location, take a look at some close-ups. Here's the bumper extension area. Moving now to the Pierce logo, and directly behind it, you'll find the release mechanism for your hood. Let's go inside the hood area. On the passenger side is where you'll find the fill location for your windshield wiper fluid. Moving to the right in the image, you'll find your fill location for your engine coolant. You'll also find on the back wall instructions for raise cab and lower cab. The red switch quarter turn will be the indication for either lower cab or raise cab. The remote, which is yellow with the black button, that will be the activation device. Directly behind that location, you'll find your cab lock-unlock switch. And then moving all the way to the very far right, you'll find your power steering fill location, which has a sight gauge. Let's take a look at some close-ups. This is the entire side of your vehicle. Let's focus now in on the cab section. We'll start in the upper left-hand corner in the image, first on the bumper extension with a side-facing warning light. Moving up from this location, we'll find that side-facing turn signal indicator. And then as we move now to the actual doors, we'll find grab handles, which are easily accessible with the glove, and also keyed entry. Moving up from this location, you'll find your grab handles. And then as we move just to the rear of the front grab handle, you'll find 2 items here. First, a auto eject plug, and then just up from that location, a side-facing bullet-style camera. You'll also find a unit identifier, 8745, on the very front. Moving up to the top, you'll find a side-facing scene light, and then moving to the rear cab, you'll find an emergency warning light. Moving down to the very bottom, you'll also find a D-handled lower section to gain access into the lower compartment. And then back up to the very top, you'll find your emergency warning light bar. Let's take a look at the close-up of the side of the vehicle, where you'll find once again that bullet-style side-facing camera. You'll also find your shoreline power on light indicator. And then just to the right, you'll find the shoreline inlet, which is a 20 amp auto eject plug. Let's move from this location to the very side compartment. This is the lower rear compartment. D-handle gains access, LED lighting inside. As we move to the side of the body, you'll find emergency warning lights in the lower section. You'll also find 2 side-facing scene lights in the upper portion. As we move from this location to the rear, we'll find 2 marker indicator lights at the very rear of the vehicle. As we move inside of that location, you'll find your brake, turn signal, emergency warning light, and backup light. Moving up to the next light up, you'll find a rear-facing scene light, and then all the way just underneath the diamond plate is where you'll find a rear-facing emergency warning light, and then all the way to the very top, you'll find a 360-degree emergency warning light. As we move to the very center, you'll find your backup camera. Moving downward for the Pierce logo American flag is where you're going to find your large diameter aerial inlet. We have a close-up of this area we'll talk about in a few moments. Let's move up from this location to the very center roll-up compartment door where you'll find your Tucson Fire Department logo, and we'll go inside that in just a moment. We do have a few access doors I'd like to talk about. We'll start with those in the next few images. On each side, you'll find drop-down stairs that will gain access up to the pedestal area and then to the ladder on the passenger and driver side. Let's take a look at the close-up of the aerial inlet. We'll first start with the Pierce logo American flag eagle. Once again, this is your large diameter aerial inlet. Just up from that, you have a gauge regarding the aerial inlet. And as we move down, you'll find this pressure warning hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. As we move back up to the top here, you'll find an inclinometer. This will be from left to right. There is a green indicator, which you'd like to remain in, yellow, and then red. As we move to the right, you'll find your anchor point. There is a warning label here regarding anchor point failure. Remember to use a direct pull. As we move upward above the lights, you'll find your rear scene lights on-off switch. And then as we move to the right in the pan door area, this is going to be for your stabilizer setup. You'll find first the high idle indicator on and off switch. And to the right, you'll find an emergency hydraulic power switch. As we move downward, we'll find the front stabilizer control. It's the ability to move the stabilizer in and out and also downward. As we move to the rear stabilizer, you'll also find the ability to move that stabilizer in or out and downward. Those are for the driver's side stabilizers. You'll also find some warning labels here and some caution information. Let's move to the right now. We'll identify the controls for the right side stabilizers. First, starting at the very top, you'll find your high idle on and off. Moving to the right, you'll find your emergency hydraulic power switch. And then as we move downward, we'll find the front stabilizer control for in and out movement and also up and down. As we move further down, you'll find the rear stabilizer control, same configuration, in and outward and up and down. You also have warning labels on the back panel of that door. As we move to the very bottom, we'll find an access door here. This is for your aerial drain. It is a ball valve, a little dark on the inside of this, but there is a red handle inside which allows you to open and close that drain for the aerial drain. As we move to the very bottom, these are going to be your overrides for your hydraulic diverter override controls for the aerial and stabilizer. You'll find the buttons here for the real stabilizer manual operation buttons, and then also front stabilizer manual operations. As we look to the schematic, you'll also take a look inside. You can see the function represents the icon on the individual stabilizer override button. We do have some warning labels down at the very bottom regarding tip hazard and also high pressure hazard, in addition with aerial stability hazard. Let's take a look now at the valves themselves. As you look to the left, you'll find your aerial emergency power or diverter down to the stabilizer emergency power. You'll also find the icons for the aerial and also stabilizer, the red or black, and then the individual buttons on top of the individual actuator and at the very bottom of the actuator. As we move to the other pan door on the left-hand side, you'll find your warning buzzer, 1 stop, 2 go, and 3 back up. Moving to the right side, we'll find this danger label regarding electrocution hazard because of that aerial device being non-insulated. As we look inside to the ladders, you'll find a 28-foot 2-section, an 8-foot folding, a 14-foot combo, and an 8-foot trash hook. Moving to the right, you'll find an 8-foot trash hook, 10-foot folding, 35 2-section, and 2 16-foot ladders. As we move to the aerial device itself, you'll find your 2 tracking lights on the outer edge. Moving just inside that location to the fly location, you'll find 2 fold-down location steps at the lower portion, and then at the tip, you'll find 2 additional. These are both locations for your waterway. I'd also like to point out that you do have a black line indicating full store position with ladders retracted. And then on the left side, you'll also find all of your indications. As your ladder moves out, you'll find the individual extension positions of those markers. As we move to the left side of the vehicle, you'll find also a roof ladder located on the stored bed section. We're now at the pedestal area where we do require fall restraint for all personnel climbing on the ladder. And also we have a warning label here regarding pinch and crush hazards. As we move to the inside of the panel of the pedestal, you'll find your warning and danger information located here on the inside cover. You'll also find the specification placard for your setup per NFPA for your 105-foot ladder. You'll also find 105-foot steel aerial ladder load chart for 500-pound wet or 750 dry. This is your waterway dry information with a 50-mile-an-hour wind condition, and also waterway charged with a 50-mile-an-hour wind condition. As we move down lower, you'll find your monitor positions, and then also we'll find at the very bottom capacities that are based on following conditions. For example, icy conditions is one of the asterisks. Let's move from this location now to the controls. We'll start at the very top with the intercom system. On the left is the dial for the on-off and volume, and on the right-hand side is your push-to-talk. As we move to the individual controls, we'll go through those next, first starting in the upper left-hand corner with your remote aerial control activation, providing power to the tip for the firefighter at the end. You do have rung lights, tracking lights, and tip lights. As we move down, you'll find your high idle switch. Also, a caution stabilizers are not fully extended, which would be an amber indicator. We also have a aerial not stowed, which would be a red indicator, and then also a green rung alignment indicator. As we move further down, you'll find a test indicator for all of your tally lamps. And then as we move further down, you'll find an emergency hydraulic power switch. Moving just to the right, you'll find a digital readout for your waterway pressure. And then all the way to the very far right, you'll find a gauge, which is your hydraulic system pressure. Let's move down from this location to the next control, where we'll find a nozzle control. You can see it's a protected switch here for deploy or stowed, and you can see it's an indicator that is currently stowed. As we move further down, you'll find stream, fog, right and left, and lower and raise. You'll also move just to the right for your ladder controls for extend, retract, left and right rotation, and elevation, raise and lower. Let's move down on the pedestal to this area where you'll find a warning regarding tip hazard, and then also a right and left rotation controls, which would be just inside for your overrides. At the base of the pedestal, you'll find this orange foot paddle. This is your activation, must be depressed before activating any of the ladder controls. As we move to the right to the base of the ladder, you'll find a storage location. Let's go ahead and move off of the top of the pedestal area, move down to the compartments. We'll first start at the front compartment on the driver's side. We do have a pull-out style tray and also tool board. As we look to the vertical wall is where we'll find our breaker box. We'll go over that next. This is the G1, which stands for your generator breaker box. As we move just to the right, you'll find your control module for amps line 1 and amps line 2. Overhead, when plugged into shore power, you'll find that your battery charging system will activate, and this is the charger directly located on the ceiling area. Let's take a look with the compartment in the open position and the tray pulled to outward position. Let's move from this location just slightly back at the very top section. You have a lift up door, lift and turn latch will gain access into your 200-foot electrical cord reel. In the compartment, you'll find the cord reel rewind. Let's move now to the left side front outrigger. You will find a LED light shining toward the area where the outrigger will display. You'll also find a crush injury warning label. As we move further down, you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light, and then you'll also find a danger warning label. Because your aerial is not insulated, there is the possibility of electrocution. Let's take a look with the compartment with the shelf in the pulled out white position. Let's go ahead and now go to the area where the wheels would be located. In the front section, you'll find a compartment housing your DEF tank, which is the blue cap. You'll also find a single SCBA bottle storage location with retaining strap. As we move to the location between the two wheels, you'll find a location for SCBA bottle storage for up to 4 bottles with retaining straps. In the compartment above, you'll find your tool board. D-handle gains access to the tool board. Once it's in the open position, it will lock into position. The hinge side does have a release mechanism. There are 2 tool boards located within this compartment. First, the D-handle opens the first one. Second D-handle opens the interior one, and there are also locks on both hinged sides. Let's move now to the fuel compartment where you'll find the 4.5 US gallon DEF tank. It's the blue cap. As we move to the rear section, you'll find an LED light just over the rear axle, in addition with your silver ultra low sulfur diesel fuel. You'll also find a SCBA single bottle storage location with retaining strap. Let's now move to the rear compartment. Just underneath the rear compartment is the storage location for your stabilizer pads. There are two located here, one for the rear and one for the front. As we move into the compartment itself, you'll find a pull-out tray at the very bottom. The release mechanism is located in the center. As we move once again to the stabilizer, you'll find that light at the very top portion. We also have some warning labels here regarding crush and also not riding on the side of your apparatus while it's in motion. We do have an emergency warning light on the stabilizer also. Let's take a look with the tray in the open position. You can see it's fully extendable. And now let's go back to those warning labels. I would like to cover them once again. First, starting at the very top with a crush hazard, and then also to the right with a warning label regarding fall hazard. As we move down, once again, this is an electrocution hazard because your equipment is not insulated. As we move to the side of the apparatus, we're on the passenger side rear body. Let's go over a few items within this area. We'll first start once again with the stabilizers. We have those warning labels which I've previously mentioned, in addition with the lighting. As we move to the next compartment forward, similar compartment layout, adjustable shelf, LED lighting, and also a pull-out shelf. This compartment does have a battery direct termination block located on the vertical wall. This is with the shelf in the pull outright position. As we move to the next compartment forward, you'll find SCBA bottle storage location here, also a smaller compartment with a lap door. As we move to the forward position in between the two wheels, you'll find SCBA bottle storage location and also a generator outlet, and once again, additional oxygen or SCBA bottle storage location. This is your 20 amp generator plug. Moving forward from this location, we'll find this label regarding extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures, and be cautious where you park your vehicle. As we move to the forward position, once again, you'll find a fully extendable lower tray and also a pull-out, drop-down, or tilt-out shelf in the upper section. As we move to the very top, you'll find your stabilizer here. And what I failed to mention is at the top of each of those stabilizers, there is a camera located, which I don't have pictured. Each of those stabilizers, each having an individual view. Once again, warning labels and danger labels on those stabilizers. Let's move around now to the compartment. You can see there's a pull-out step location, fully executable to allow you to gain access to the upper location. This is a through compartment just above the area that we were just talking about. And as we look in the ladder section, you'll find your generator, which is a hydraulic generator. As we move downward, you'll find your hydraulic generator oil. Let's go ahead and move from this location as we look downward into the electrical reel compartment. This is the top access. Lift and turn latches gains access into the wheeled area. You'll also find at the very front section, you can see the very top of that side-facing stabilizer camera. This is the hydraulic oil for your hydraulic ladder. You'll find also a number 7 on the side of the cab, and also we have a do not walk in this area. This is a non-walking surface. As we move to the tip, we'll talk a little bit about some of the items here. On the right-hand side, you'll find your intercom system and also electrical outlet. On the left-hand side, you'll find aerial controls and nozzle controls. Let's take a look at those next. I would like to point out in the very center, you'll find your ability to lower the nozzle to a lower section on the fly, and that's through the bracket here. Make sure that you properly lock the monitoring bracket in either position, whether it's in the forward position or in the lower section position. Let's move back to the intercom system. Once again, this system is passive. There is no push to talk. As we move to the right, you'll find generated outlet power and also a convenient light. As we move to the left, you'll find your aerial controls for extend and retract, right and left, lower and raise. You'll also find 2 tip lights, a removable egress, and I'd also like to point out just above the Pierce logo is where you'll find the release mechanism to store the waterway at a lower point on the fly section. Let's move back to the front section of the cab. We'll start on the driver's side, first starting with the door panel. Affixed to the door panel, you'll find all of our warning and hazard information. You'll also find at the A-pillar a grab handle, which is the red webbing. You do have window controls and also door locks. From this location, let's go down into the step well. As we look into the step well, you'll find your air shutoff, air outlet, and also an air inlet. Let's move upward from this location about the left knee of the operator, where you'll find your tech module, engine, transmission, ABS diagnostic port, and also display. This would be for your maintenance personnel. As we move down, you'll find your ABS diagnostic switch and engine diagnostic switch. Down at the very bottom, you'll find regen inhibit and DPF regen switches. As we move just at the lower section of the seat, when plugged into shore power, your battery voltage will activate, charging and maintaining your batteries. As we move to about the right ankle of the operator, you'll find this yellow placard manufactured by Pierce for your department with the date of manufacture, 5-digit job number, gross vehicle weight rating, cold tire inflation, VIN number, all of the fluid capacities for the component and fluid capacity type. Let's move to the dash area, first starting on the left-hand side with the red hazard 4-way flasher switch. Moving down, you'll find your start and ignition switch. Moving just to the right, you'll find a switch labeled EM, which stands for Emergency Master. This will activate or deactivate all of your emergency lights with one button. As we move just to the right, you'll find your headlight switch, and then further to the right, you'll find a switch labeled Panel. This will allow you to brighten or dim the lights within the panel area. As we move all the way to the other side of the steering column, you'll find your high idle switch and OK to engage the high idle indicator. Let's move up to the gauges now, first starting on the left-hand side of the console with the transmission temperature, oil pressure, DEF level, and water temperature. Moving to the right, you'll find the fuel, volts, front and rear air, speedometer and tachometer in the center. Diagnostic information will display above and below the speedometer. Let's move back down to the right side of the column where you'll find your interaxle differential lock. We do have a light indicating when it is in the locked position. From this location, let's move overhead of the operator. We'll start on the far left-hand side with the yellow placard indicating the height of the vehicle, 11 feet 5.5 inches, the length of the vehicle, 42 feet 3.5 inches, and a gross vehicle weight rating of 76,000 pounds. If you make any changes to your vehicle that may affect any of these, please update this placard. To the right, you'll find your warning buzzer, 1 stop, 2 go, and 3 back up. Moving further to the right, we've got a set of switches here, emergency master, roof light, front warning, side warning, lower rear warning, and upper rear warning. When any of these switches have been activated, you'll find the green light will illuminate in the background. Let's move to the next set of switches to the right, where you'll find your high beam flash, your opticom, front flood, driver side scene, passenger side scene, and rear scene. Once again, when any of these switches have been activated, the green light will illuminate within the individual switch. Let's move further to the right overhead of the operator, where you'll find your traffic advisor. Moving further to the right, you'll find your control module. This is for your siren and also PA speaker system. Let's move back down to the dash. On the left-hand side, what is not pictured in this image is your pull to apply your system parking brake and push to release. It is the yellow diamond. Moving to the Pierce command zone, you'll find that located here. Tremendous amount of information right at your fingertips. Please see your owner's manual. As we move to the right, you'll find your Allison transmission pad. We do have a warning buzzer indicator here also regarding 1 stop, 2 go, and 3 back up. As we move to the switches on the right-hand side of the operator, you'll find your aerial master, aerial PTO, your generator PTO, stabilizers for the camera, stabilizer placement lights, and load manager. As we move down to the next bank of switches, you'll find for your engine brake an on-off switch, and also an engine brake setting switch for low, medium, and high, off-road traction, front wheel lock, and mirror heat. Let's move slightly to the right from this location, where we'll identify a few more of the switches, first starting at the very top for your electronic siren, perimeter lights, an indicator that your aerial is not bedded, and also a siren brake. As we move downward from this location, we'll find your go light control. The red light indicates that it's on, and then the individual joystick to the left will control that. I'd also like to point out a few caution and warning labels. Disengage your retarder when on wet surfaces. Also, a minimum speed for your generator operation is 700 RPMs. To the right, you'll find a warning label. Always engage the parking brake and run engine when using your front wheel lock. Let's move to the very center section of your dash area, where you'll find your climate control. This is for heat and defrost and air conditioning. You'll also find instructions on a placard here regarding your generator's operation. As we move just to the right of this location, you'll find your mirror controls for the left and right mirror. And as we look overhead, you'll find this red light indicating if flashing, do not move your apparatus. You may have a compartment or door open. Let's move now to the rear cab section of your apparatus. At the very rear section of the engine, we do have an access door. This will be the access for you to do your daily checks for oil and transmission. We'll take a quick look around the area. Let's start first behind the operator's seat. This will be the driver. You'll find your EQ2B control module, and you'll also find a speaker with volume control here regarding the backup camera. As we move to the passenger side seat, you'll find your control module head for your unit radio, and you'll also find a charging system for your portable radios. Let's move to the officer side now, where you'll find once again affixed to the door panel all of our warning and safety information. Your vehicle is equipped with a supplemental restraint system, an airbag. On the A pillar, you'll also find a red grab handle gain access in and out of the cab. Once again, the vehicle has a front bolster airbag, which is located where the SRS logo is located. You'll also find on the seat itself a Rolltech SRS airbag. As we move back to the front section, you'll find your siren brake push button. Just beneath that, you'll find 12-volt access via a USB style. There are also two switches located here, one for your mechanical siren and the other for the use of your air horn. Let's go overhead in the officer position, where you'll find your go light, once again red light indicating it's on. To the left, you'll find the joystick, which will control the light. You'll also find just to the left your FireCom module, and then moving further to the left, you'll find your unit radio and also PA speaker siren. This is going to be your Motorola unit radio, and as we move to the right, you'll find your FireCom system. And then moving all the way furthest to the right overhead of the officer position is the Go Light control module. Let's move to the dash now. On the front right corner, A pillar, is where you'll find your light, which is switched for your map book. As we move now just to the left, you'll find your vehicle data recorder port, and then also an MDT reset switch. It is currently protected. Let's move overhead once again of the officer position, where you'll find your wireless base station for your FireCom headsets, and then you can also see that light located in the very center, and also your speaker for your unit radio system. Congratulations, Tucson, Arizona, on your new Pierce Fire apparatus, job number 34462. If you have any questions, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.